Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Why are you doing that? Don't do that.
Damn good coffee and hot.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
If it's warm enough to laugh, that is the question. Are you warm enough to laugh? Man, I look ridiculous. But that's not really new. Just looking at me over there, as opposed to me over here. I like me better over there. All right, guys. Good morning, folks. It is Thursday, January 18th, 2024. We're kind of like almost 3/4 of the way through January, the worst month of the year. Listen, if you were born in January, I'm sorry, but it's the worst month of the year. Unless you were born, well, it doesn't matter when you were born. But in Australia, probably a pretty good month. Right now, it's like prime summer in Australia. Hoorah, if you're in Australia. But I'm not in Australia. I'm in the USA, where a really Arctic freeze has taken over the entire country. Today, when I went to take the trash out, it was 18 degrees. 18 degrees for somebody my age and somebody who hates cold weather, as I always have. 18 degrees is hell. That's what hell is like. If you want to know what hell is, if there is such a thing, it's 18 degrees or colder. It could get colder. I've seen it colder, but 18 is where it starts, I think. But right now, we are having a heat wave. Right now, let me just really get a quick check, because I shouldn't be making fun of this, because 37 people died in the U.S. from the cold in the last week. We're up to 25 degrees. Well, and that's why I'm wearing the hat, not because we're up to 25 degrees, because it's so cold in here. When you don't have hair, I don't know if you know this, but if you don't have hair, you're colder than everybody else. You lose a lot of heat through the top of your head. This is a fact. Oh, you can see the CDs over here? I just noticed that you can see them in the shot over there. My wife had me up in the attic, rearranging some stuff up in the attic, and I found all these CDs. Now, I only have one computer that has a CD drive in it, and it's underneath the desk over in the corner there. I have to get on my hands and knees and crawl under stuff. I'm not going to check out what's on the CDs today. I think it's like old music from the 1990s. Anyway, we do have a pretty decent show lined up for you today, even though I screwed up with the bookings. Mike Vanderveen, known as Vander, will be here at 9:15, and Danielle Warnell, who this is the screw up. She said she chose yesterday as the date, and then I got a email from her and then text really early this morning saying, I see I'm on today at 9 o'clock. Well, no, the show starts at 9 o'clock. She picked 10:15. Of course, she will be on at 10:15. She's really concerned about being right on time, because she's not at home, and to get home, she's just texted me a few minutes ago that the GPS says she'll be there by 10:13. She'll make it. Like, it's not a big deal. It really is not a big deal. For all the no-shows I've had, somebody being 2 or 3 minutes late or 5 minutes late or 20 minutes late is not a big deal here. So But a couple of stand-up comedians. Danielle looks to be really killing it at as a young person from Kentucky, traveling to various states to perform in. She has a pretty hustling schedule and has performed quite a bit and travels around. So good for her, making it happen out of Kentucky. Maybe she'll be at Paducah Fest. Or Paducah Stock. Maybe Paducah Fest sounds a little better than Paducah Stock, doesn't it? Before I bring the gentleman in, I wanted to talk a little bit about something because I don't even know how to approach the subject. A song I've written, and I talked about it the other day on here. Lyrics, song lyrics. Sometimes a songwriter will intentionally leave the lyrics confusing, a little bit confusing, or enough to fuck with people, fuck with their heads. I'll use John Cougar Mellencamp as an example. The song "Pink Houses." A lot of people for 20 years or more, when that song first came out, from the point it came out 20 years through, were thinking that was a patriotic anthem because of the, well, ain't that America? And people and they're singing at 4th of July and Memorial Day, and they have flags and all this stuff. And people never really listen to the lyrics. And the lyrics, the meaning of the song comes down to the end of the song where he says, there are people and more people. Oh, what do they know? They go to work in some high-rise, vacation down in the Gulf of Mexico. But the simple man, baby, pays his bills for thrills with pills that kill. And he's talking about inequality in America, income inequality and poverty. And, basically, it's a tear down of the American capitalist system. But people didn't know that for 20 years. I knew it. I knew it when it first came out because I pay attention to lyrics. Well, I have a song that is. I asked somebody to sing this song for me, and if you remember, a couple of days ago, the song is called "Stand Your Ground," and it intentionally sounds like a song promoting religion, but it is the opposite of that. And so I'm almost hate to even kind of find myself explaining this stuff. But with something like this, I don't want to be misinterpreted as somebody who's promoting religion. Although my hope in some way is that people who are overly religious will grasp onto it and start singing it, and then I could like laugh and giggle at them. Anyway, the basis of the song and the idea is that all wars are started by people who believe that God is on their side. And I find that to be utterly ridiculous because, and listen, I'm not smart enough to know what or who or how the universe was created. But the people who think they are the stupidest people in the world. But if you do believe there is, let's just say, an invisible man or some kind of energy that created the universe and all of us, why would he have us killing each other instead of just not creating the people that he doesn't like, not creating the evil? Or if he had, and I'm using he, I know the pronoun people are going to get it. Oh, he, how do you know it's a he? He's a white guy. If he wanted to kill people, just kill people. Why get me involved? I don't have the energy for that. Anyway, it's important to kind of understand that lyrics are not always what they seem to be. And listen, who am I to get on this soapbox? But read the lyrics and pay attention, and then you don't have to wait 20 years to find out. Oh, that's not what he meant. And I'm not going to have a hit with this song. Believe me, it's not going to be a hit. But it's not about me. It's about just songs in general. And come back to the John Cougar Mellencamp example. Anyway, Willie has a new show. Yeah, Willie's got a new show. He hasn't started yet. It will start Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I think he's going to do pretty good with it. It's Tuesday night. listen, that's kind of prime time now, and people's viewing habits as far as evenings are changing. I was looking at a demographic this morning that everybody is getting dumping cable, and YouTube is really grown. Now he's not just going to be on YouTube; he's going to be on PBM TV. He's going to be on Twitch. He's going to be on everywhere we are. So it's going to be I think, something new and different. I think he's going to do well with it. It's called The Lord and His Lady, and there's a sponsor called Luminar Neo, which is a really cool app, powerful app for photo editing and photo manipulation that seems to outperform Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop, which is the gold standard as far as people who've been in the photo manipulation business forever. I use Photoshop every day for the last 37 years or something. So it's brought to you by Luminar Neo, and it's got a sponsor. I think he's gonna do well, and I hope you will support it. I'm gonna put the sponsor link in the description of this show. I'll probably share it at some point during this conversation, and I hope you'll support him and help Willie get some momentum going on with that as well. Anyway, speaking of the devil, Willie is here now, and so is GD. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Audio's good. What the hell? Everybody's audio is good? How is that happening? Something is wrong here. I'm sorry. You were saying something about coffee.
Mind Dog Coffee.
Oh,
the official coffee of people who picked or wanted a Jets-Eagles Super Bowl. Mind Dog Coffee.
Well, it's always next year. Isn't there always next? No. There isn't always next year.
You can't even say that when you get blown out like that. I think, what they have, 6 points? Like, it was terrible. The Eagles got murdered.
Total. The Eagles and just combined only had 6 points last week.
Wow.
Yeah.
But there is.
That's the fact.
Yeah. Well, I said there's always next year, but there actually, according to my earlier prediction, I think maybe even this week, there won't be a next year. So there's that.
Right, possibly.
Matt, I don't believe that that more heat escapes through the head than anywhere else in the body.
What?
My theory is that they got that wrong. It's a myth, and that reason. And my evidence for that is that the human brain is the most important part of the body. The brain is what keeps. That's the last thing to die. Pretty much, you're not dead until the brain dies. So your body's going to do everything it can to keep the brain alive and maintain the temperature between 96 and, let's say, 102 degrees. 98 degrees basically is ideal.
102, I think you're dead. 102.
Well, 102 is feverish. What I'm saying is, but hyperthermia doesn't really start setting until, I think, 104. And hypothermia sets in at 95. Or begins officially at 95 degrees. So your brain is still functional, but like I said, ideally between 97, 98, somewhere in there. So it's not going to lose as much heat as people think there is, or the body is trying to maintain. So that's why your extremities.
If you put me in an infrared camera and you turn off all the lights, you would see the heat just coming off.
Yeah, you would see heat actually going.
I'm like a radiator. How do you say it?
I remember during football, my sophomore year in high school, the newspaper did a wonderful job of capturing a picture, because it was right before playoffs. It was our last regular game of the season. We had just come off the field, and there were 3 of us standing in a row, and we had just taken our helmets off. It was cold outside, and all 3 of us had steam rolling off the top of our fucking heads.
Yeah.
And
yes, I've seen that too. I played football also, and I've seen that also. I still maintain, but my theory still is that since the brain is so vital to us being alive, that the body's going to do what it can to keep the brain at a proper temperature.
The brain is not the skull, and it's not the top of it's not the skin or the epidermis. Right. So yeah, I could I'll give you the point that the body will work hard to keep the brain warm, but that doesn't mean heat won't escape through the top of your epidermis and your skull. It's a whole different thing. The brain is insulated within the skull. Believe me, I've taken a Black and Decker to the top of enough skulls and pulled out enough brains with my bare hands. Well, not bare.
But you should have used the DeWalt. Everybody knows the DeWalt is much better at that task than the Black and Decker.
Pathology departments generally want to save money on that, so they can put their money towards vacation in the summer.
Oh, that's why. All right, I got you.
But yeah,
I feel you. I feel you, dog.
Anyway, but my brain has never been all that functioning anyway. I mean, if I'm really honest about it, it's like they talk about, and this is really a myth about your brain just working, I don't know, 8% of its capacity. I think that's wrong. But mine, if anything, is like 2%. I'm saving it for when I die. I want to see what happens. I want to see.
Are you disputing the documentary Defending Your Life, where obviously it's documented in Defending Your Life, the brain that most of us use only, 4% of our brain. Right. It's documented. It's a documentary. It's right there.
Well, documentary doesn't mean necessarily true, but anyway.
We can agree to disagree there. Documentary.
No, I don't agree.
We're already agreeing to disagree.
I don't agree to disagree.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Well, I didn't say we are. I'm saying we can. I'm saying you have the ability.
I disagree to agree.
Okay.
Now,
but I agree to disagree. So we're agreeing, right?
No, I disagree with that.
This is egregious, is what this is. This is terrible. What's happening right now?
Do you guys know Dick?
I don't know Dick.
I know lots of Dicks,
anyway.
You know Dick.
Familiar with Dick.
You know Dick Morris.
I don't think
that name sounds familiar. Is he?
Oh, it should.
The cigarette guy. The cigarette guy.
No, that's Philip Morris.
Dick Morris was an advisor to Bill Clinton.
Why should we know that?
Huh?
Why should I know that?
Because
I'm glad I don't know that.
Well, because it was a major scandal when he went to meet a 14-year-old girl in a hotel room to sniff her feet.
Oh, come on.
All right.
Hey, you know what?
Hold on.
Yeah. No, I know. That's exactly where I was going too, because I'm gonna be honest with you. For as much as I talk about ass eating and my willingness to do that or whatever, don't fucking try and put your foot in my mouth.
Well,
I'll fucking
okay.
I'll tear that fucking thing off.
In most cases, first of all, just going to meet a 14-year-old girl in a hotel room would end a career. It didn't for him. He kept a high-profile position as a pundit, made a right turn when Obama became president, worked for Fox and was on Bill O'Reilly every night. And nobody was ever bringing up, like, foot sniffer, crazy, weirdo pedophile Dick Morris. And he still has a public platform. And he on video on a conference yesterday on Twitter, and some kind of thing where he's talking about politics, and out of a closet behind him walks an obese man in his underwear, just walks past the camera, and nobody.
Fuck?
Exactly.
Are you fucking, dude?
I wonder
sometimes Danica will walk behind. You've seen her walk.
Hold on.
Back
I want to see if I can share this really quick.
Like she's so careful about, like, there's times where she'll like hide her hood because she's got bedhead going on or whatever. She'll have her hood up, so and she won't even let the camera see her
Are y'all
face.
saying that man and that 14-year-old girl are the same person? Is that what I'm supposed to get from this?
No, that's not what we're saying.
No, he's just saying that there's a lot of disturbing shit that happens around this guy.
I'm saying nothing has stopped this. Most people's career would have ended at the point where with the 14-year-old girl in the hotel room stuff. Not this guy. Anyway, I want to mute this, right? I want to mute.
Are you still running for Congress, by the way?
Technically.
Technically.
Yeah, I am not off the ballot. And I get emails about
guerrilla campaigning, then Jesus.
It's too cold.
And not only that, right now it's the mini campaign that's going on, and he's not part of the mini campaign,
Yeah.
the mini election.
Yeah, because there is a special election. 3 weeks, I think, for the seat, and then we're gonna have the real election again in November. So share screen. Hold on a second.
I just want you to go ahead. Yeah. I was just gonna. Oh, you got a video? Oh yeah. Okay. What the fuck?
He'll do it.
And he gives no.
That's not a closet.
Okay, he wasn't in his underwear.
It is a closet.
Closet.
You can see the clothes hanging up on the rail in the back of that.
I'm looking at a very small picture.
Anyway, that's it.
What in the fuck?
So now you know. Now you know all about Dick. But it just puzzles me how. Anybody else's career would have been ended in the 90s when he met that girl at a hotel near JFK Airport. I think he met her online or something and arranged this meeting. According to him, he didn't know she was 14 or something, and he thought it was a setup, whatever he said. But still, if you or I did that, we'd be banished to Bogey land. I'm going back to I'm going back to the March of the Wooden Soldiers here.
And of
but
course,
we'd be banished from
you know
public.
what?
I think we would be banished.
The bean flicker.
Dude,
look, the bean flicker is like, what a nice rack on what nice moves that guy had. What the fuck, Kelly? Jesus.
So she's your
goddamn.
She's your employee. Anyway.
Yeah, that is my fan club president, folks. She is a fan of moves.
It seems that the move to make then, if you are a progressive or a Democrat or a liberal and you screw up, if you just redo your career as a right winger, everything that you did as a progressive stays progressive, and therefore doesn't count towards your past.
Well,
it's like my mother used to. When my mother was reborn into Jesus, all of her sins were not only forgotten, but they never happened once my mother became born again.
All right. Well, we can continue the political discussion later, but I think I just say that I think Bill Clinton was far more right than anybody ever really kind of gave him credit for. Even though Hillary was out there calling him vast right wing conspiracy, white ring, all that stuff. He was endorsed by Ronald Reagan. People forget that. Over Bush. Clinton was endorsed by Ronald Reagan, and so he wasn't as far left as most people think he was ever on a lot of things. He was a right. He's the guy who introduced workfare to replace welfare. He was a right winger. Arkansas Dixiecrat.
Yeah, I consider him a corporatist, but we're going the same direction. I just consider him a corporatist Democrat,
right?
As opposed, but he was not a liberal.
So it wasn't really a hard right turn for Dick Morris to kind of. He was always a strategist, a political strategist. But you don't want a guy who's meeting young girls in hotel rooms to be telling you how to run your campaign. And obviously,
or having half-naked dudes come out of his closet during interviews.
Well, we got to get to the bottom of that, and I don't mean the bottom of the fat guy. I mean the bottom of the story. And
yeah. I do want to explain something real quick.
Go ahead. Explain something.
If I can. If I seem to get more agitated as the podcast goes on, it's because it's 10 degrees here and I'm watching it fucking snowing outside again. Like I'm looking out this fucking window and it's just pissing me the fuck off.
Let me give you a little bit. At least you have pretty snow to watch. I'm looking at a wall. It's to be fair, I have 15 more degrees than you do, but I'm looking at a wall. I would like to see a little, snow globe going on, a little window light in here. So cheer up.
Yeah, but we're already buried in fucking snow here. So like, and I'm out in the fucking
it's winter.
I'm out in the country.
I don't know if you got the. First of all, the memo is it's winter, and the second part of the memo, you're in South Dakota.
Okay, yeah, no, that's
somebody you might have something.
Not breaking news. You're right.
Somebody you might have something in common with. Actually, you do have a lot in common with them. Mike Vanderveen, known as Vander, is a comedian slash musician, or musician slash comedian, singer, songwriter, whatever, all that kind of stuff. But he is also got other things in common with Willie. Good morning, Vander. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. It's good to see all you guys.
Morning.
How was the snowfall, the winter Arctic grip affecting you? Is it?
It's been really cold, but we haven't got a lot of snow. There wasn't any like bad road conditions. It's just got like really cold.
Now you're in Central Ohio, right? Where exactly in Ohio are you?
Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton.
It's about 45 minutes north of Cincinnati.
You're dating the whole state?
What?
I'm sorry, that's like a GD joke.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not like a GD joke.
It is
exactly
like
a GD.
It is exactly like a GD joke.
No.
Willie, back me up.
That's pretty fair.
First of all, I would have done it with my hair down. Okay.
I got my hair down. That's like a GD joke too.
That's
I'm
true.
like
Yeah,
on a
all the way
GD
down
roll.
under his nose.
Yeah.
So, Vander, last week you posted a image of yourself with kids. You're hanging out. You were a young teen, I guess, and you said you were such something like you were a dork or a nerd or whatever the thing you posted, the comment you left on there. And my mind says, how does a guy go from being a dork, nerd, whatever you characterize yourself as, to being a heroin addict and getting locked up? How do you make that transition?
I mean, I wanted to be cooler, and at the time, I thought drugs were cool.
Yeah, heroin makes you feel that way. Oh, this would be real cool.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so dangerous. It makes you feel as cool as Brad Pitt for a short period of time.
Wow,
very short period. Yeah, you're as cool as Brad Pitt on the couch in True Romance when you're fucking doing heroin.
So we start off as Brad Pitt and wind up as Brad Pitiful.
Yeah,
that's
Brad
true.
Self-pity.
I have no intent of kind of making you long for the good old days, but I was listening to Rogan. Rogan and who else was he talking? I forget who he was talking to. But they were talking about heroin and comedy and how many comedians and musicians love heroin, and they were like, "What is the attraction to heroin?" Rogan was saying he's never done it. I've never done it, but he was talking about how artists generally really that's the drug of choice for people who are, I don't know, really artistically inclined. Can you give me some insight into what the high is like in heroin and why it's so seductive?
In my experience, it's affected other people in different ways, but for me, it like stimulated my senses while also calming my anxiety. Like it started with like pain pills, like Percocets and Vicodin, and I was popping those like candy. Right. And it really just, it relaxed me, made me feel like I was more comfortable out in a public setting, whether it be on a stage or at a party. It helped me to feel more comfortable.
Did it help you to write like music or comedy?
What's that?
Did it help you to write or create?
I don't think writing or creating it benefited. I think it helped me perform it. I don't think I could write a song or write a joke while under the influence of any kind of opioid.
But I was kind of thinking, because everybody I've known, they seem, I mean, I've never seen anybody freshly high on heroin. When I see them, they're generally about to pass out. Yeah. And like, how can you be creative if you're about to fall asleep or nod off and be unconscious for a while? Anyway, so that's really interesting to me, because I've never done it. I heard Rogan say he never tried cocaine, which was really astonishing to me.
I find that hard to believe. I think he's bullshitting that one.
I'm just curious because my sister was a heroin addict, and to me, heroin seems like a lot of work to get high. I mean, my sister had to like hide her vomit can. She had to hide her drugs. She had to purchase the drugs, and when she got the drugs, she had to like tie her arm off. And then find the vein. It's just a lot of work to me. It seems like just a lot of work.
Yeah, that's when you shoot it though too. You know what I mean? You don't have to shoot heroin. Some people smoke it.
Well, this was back in the 80s. I don't know if she had a choice. I don't know if there was another option back then. I don't know. I'm
I
not a
think
heroin
every drug,
aficionado.
every addiction, even if it's alcoholism, is a lot of work. In at some point, I mean, I say
I mean,
Yeah, but
I
with
say even if
heroin,
it's alcoholism, as if I'm minimizing that, like that's like little league addiction.
concealing addiction can
Yeah,
be a difficult task.
yeah. So Vander,
yeah,
now
but you don't usually have to cook the alcohol unless you're a moonshiner.
that's true. But yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So how long have you been sober? I mean, clean, whatever you want to call it, clean,
Is that
sober,
for me
off the
or?
drug? No, no. Obviously,
Oh no.
you're on drugs right now.
I've been clean for just over 8 years. Back in November, I celebrated 8 years.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, good, good
you.
for you. Now, what do you do to maintain that? Do you go to meetings and stuff?
I went to like 12-step AA and NA meetings for a long time. I kind of faded out of that, but I work at a rehab. I'm a licensed counselor in Ohio, so
awesome, dude.
that's my day job.
Very
That's
cool.
great.
My brother goes to meetings every day, but and every couple of weeks he does an hour of stand up. he calls it,
Yeah.
but basically he's speaking. Do you was that beneficial to you going through rehab to kind of jumpstart your comedy career?
I think it was. So at meetings, they would do what's called lead meetings. It would basically be one person just up there telling their story. So I think that's how, once I did that 3 or 4 times, I got a lot more comfortable with just telling a story on stage, which is the stand-up approach
Right.
that I typically have
Right.
today. I don't really like tell like one-liner punch jokes. It's normally like a story, and it became easier for me to articulate the story after doing that at NA meetings a couple of times.
So would it be fair to say advice for a young person who wants to be a comedian is to get yourself an addiction, go to 12-step meetings, and learn how to speak there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad approach. It's not terrible.
If
That's
you're
an
if
interesting
you're not
path.
an addict before you go into doing stand-up comedy, you're gonna start getting introduced to drugs, and you very well might
Yeah,
become an
really
addict
quick.
very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
get the addiction out of the way first, get all the benefits from it, then
My-
start doing stand-up
Yeah.
comedy. Once
My
you
brother
already know
says
that
that,
drugs aren't
like,
for you.
the meetings are people who are there to deal with one addiction, but they're still using a bunch of other things. But
Well, yeah, but
like
he's an AA guy, and
he's
that's why that.
but he's
is.
also he's
Like,
he was also an NA guy. He was he had a major. First, he started with cocaine, and when in 1983, I think he went to a psychiatrist to deal with his cocaine addiction, and the psychiatrist said, they have this new cheap cocaine out there. It's called crack, and it's really affordable. And he left that off. It's like, thanks, doc. Now where do I go to get this crack you just told me about? And became
what the? I will say that like when I was younger, because I went to treatment like 3 times before I was 18. So fucking I think the third one that I was in, I fucking learned about some drugs that I hadn't even tried yet through treatment. Like there was videos that they would play during your treatment, and that's how I learned that Dramamine would get you high. And fucking it wasn't like when I had relapsed a few months later. I was really big into acid at the time, but the acid had dried up. There was no acid around, and so I took a bunch of fucking Dramamine to fucking hallucinate, and holy fuck, like that shit'll fuck you up. I took like
the acid dried up.
24 of those fucking pills and didn't have a regular thought for 3 fucking days.
The acid dried up is a good phrase. I don't know. I'll probably have to put that in a song somewhere somehow.
All right.
No, I don't mean to make this all about drugs, but I started there. But so I introduced you as a musician / comedian or comedian / musician. Which one do you prioritize?
Dancer.
Now that I'm doing more shows, I go comedian first because that's the career I'm pursuing. Music has always been a hobby.
I see of you, you're holding the acoustic guitar on stage. Maybe there's more pictures of that.
A musical comedian, then. I've been incorporating.
Have you been on anything? You look super familiar to me.
Yeah, he's been on before,
and he sounds familiar as well.
I don't.
He's been on this show before.
I don't think you were here when he was here. What was?
Yeah, but I might have been watching. Maybe I mean, even when I wasn't on, I watched the show a lot. So maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Yeah. So
I'm from all over, but the Midwest mostly.
Yeah, well, it's not
Except Wichita. Except Wichita. He has nothing to do with Wichita.
Except Wichita. That's right. Fuck Wichita, Kansas.
That's interesting. Now, Ben, are you getting around? Or or are you just basically performing in Dayton?
Mostly in this region, Dayton, Columbus, Cincinnati. I've got a show this weekend up in Sydney, but I've gotten around a little bit. As far south as Knoxville, I've done shows in Knoxville, Tennessee. We had vacation in Colorado, so I did some shows in Denver.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
But yeah,
Yeah.
mostly Ohio though.
Why is that? Because of the day job? Is that what's keeping you from branching out further? Because I always come back to even Jesus wasn't a hit in his hometown. So eventually, if you have any real aspirations of bigger success, you have to kind of branch out from the hometown.
Yeah, for sure. So there's all kinds of open mics around. I think Louisville is actually the city I've gone to the most, like as far as doing an out of town open mic. I still technically consider myself an open mic comic. Like I'm still like building up my, what's eventually going to be an hour's worth of jokes. So yeah, mostly doing them in Dayton is just easiest, and my day job definitely plays a part in that. Because
no, I get it. What is the?
So are you going to stop? Are you going to stop doing your stories so that you can do an hour's worth of jokes, or are you just going to keep doing your stories on the side and you just do your hours worth of jokes? Because I thought I thought you didn't do the jokes. I thought you did the stories. I'm confused. I'm sorry.
If you just go like this, you probably hit them.
I'll still call them jokes because it's what I say on stage at stand-up comedy shows, but it mostly is like stories. So jokes and stories are a little bit synonymous to me. I just don't do like one-liners, like Dangerfield and Mitch Hedberg. I'm not that kind of comic. I'm more like a Tom Segura, Nate Bargatze kind of
Don't ever say Tom Segura.
Why not? Do you not like Tom Segura?
Here we go. Thank you for opening up this fucking can of worms, Xander. What the fuck?
What I gotta say about Tom Segura.
Comedians who are funnier than Segura.
You're a bum. Get out of town. Now,
Get out of here.
I wanted to mention this because listen. My beef with Tom Segura is the stuff about beating up on people who are less fortunate than him, calling them the poorest, saying it's your mindset that makes you poor and all this stuff. When he's a guy who did not get rich off his comedy, he got rich off a trust fund, and so that beating up of people who are less fortunate, because he likes to on his podcast brag about his cars and his watches and all that kind of stuff, and some people who are poor have written to him and said, you could lighten up on bragging about what you got because it kind of reminds people of what we don't have. And he takes that to kind of double down on it and just beat on them and call them, well, you deserve to be poor. You're shit on a washcloth and all that stuff. And that bothered me. And I've heard him say that the cure to homelessness is shoot them all. And that was not a joke. It was in a serious conversation with Rogan, and they were talking about how in LA, how dare people have their own property? Like you get kicked out of your house and you have a dresser full of clothes. That's technically their property. Like, yeah, what do you want them to lose their house and everything else besides all their clothes? And so he seems heartless to me. That's my beef with Tom Segura.
I mean, what a piece of shit, right?
Yeah. But I did watch
They are doing a 5K run,
What was that?
Him and Bert Kreischer are doing a 5K run in May. And I'm sure that's going to be some sort of charitable event. You know what I mean? Jelly Roll's going to be a part of it.
As they're running.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jelly Roll's going to be a part of it. And remember how I said I wanted to try and get myself involved in something Jelly Roll was doing in 2024? Bet your fucking biffy if I can get involved in this 5K, I'll go run every fucking step next to that dude and encourage him and help him fucking finish that shit all damn day.
Where is it? Do you know?
I'm sure it's going to be in Texas. I would be very surprised if it's not in Texas somewhere because Rogan's got the whole crew moving that way now.
Have you run recently?
Yeah, no, I was, dude. Up until I hurt my foot, I was running every morning.
Oh, really? How far?
And
Bob,
I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I probably only ran like a mile or two or whatever. But believe me, between now and May, I got plenty of time to get my running back. I used to run 3 miles every rec period when I was in fucking prison.
All right.
You know, if Jelly Roll is a regular runner, and even if you just start,
no, he's
now,
he's training.
You could be holding him back. So I don't think you may not be able to keep up with him.
I think I could, even me, and I have a difficult time running to the bathroom. I think I could just do this around Jelly Roll for the whole 5K or whatever it is.
mean, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I think Jelly Roll is gonna have a pretty slow run. I mean, not to be a jerk or anything, but the dude is heavy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you don't move that much weight that fast for a long period of time. You might start off
Vander,
and if anything, I want to be there to help him along because I know he's probably gonna get to a point where he can't really go no more, and I'll be right there to lean on. You can lean on me, Jelly Roll. I don't give a fuck. I'm there for you.
Ian says you're obsessed with Jelly Roll. I don't know. Obsessed.
I am. Of course, dude. The guy has saved my life, and I'm not even playing when I say that. Like Jelly Roll's music has literally saved my life. There were times where I was on the fucking brink, and listening to that guy's music made me feel different.
Wow. Well, good for Jelly Roll. Good for you.
Yeah. So Vander, which comedian do you want to run a 5K with?
That's a very good question.
You don't have to answer that.
No, you don't have to answer anything he asks you. Actually,
probably go. What's his name? Iglesias. I want a 5K.
Gabriel Iglesias.
Yeah.
Fluffy?
Yeah,
I've seen him. I've seen him a couple times actually.
Enrique or Julio?
Or Faison.
No.
I want one with Faison.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many of those Iglesias. They're like
he's the DJ in all the Magic Mike movies. You know.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I have not seen any of the Magic Mike movies, so
because you're mad you didn't get cast in them.
No, by the time they cast it, it was a relief. Believe me, I don't live the glory days. I mean, my days are gone. I couldn't.
Oh, see.
All right, let me just check this back to finish the thing I was saying about Segura. I watched a clip. I forced myself to watch 2 clips. Actually, they were like 5-minute clips. One was about him macrodosing his mother, and I promise you, it was 5 minutes long. I didn't laugh once. I mean, he was laughing, and he was on a big stage. It was from the Netflix special. The audience was laughing, but there was no funny jokes in it, and no punchline setup type of thing. It was just him talking about slipping his mother too many gummies, psychedelic gummies, and the fact that she thought she was dying. And like, I was having.
No, she said, "Don't kill me." She said,
"Right,
don't kill me." Like she thought,
and it became real. Right.
Don't kill me, Tommy.
Right.
Why would you do this?
Right.
Yeah, but why you doing
I think
this?
as he's gotten bigger and more successful in like on his podcast and stuff, I do see his specials regressing in like the amount of laughter that I hear in the crowd and the amount of times I enjoy it.
Though?
I think it does. It's hard.
I don't think so. This is where I want. Louis C.K. Now I know I will get a lot of pushback on this. I think Louis C.K. has gotten better continually through everything in his career, and I think right now, if I had to say who's the best comedian, as far as when you talk about funny is subjective. But understanding the craft and dedicating yourself to the craft of comedy and working hard and never veering from that and never taking yourself so seriously that you become a professor, I think Louis C.K. is the gold standard as far as where I consider a professional comedian right now. You guys
I agree, because he's always got good stuff coming out. His most recent stuff that he's come out with, hilarious, and then his old stuff is just as funny. He's been consistent.
I haven't seen anything he's done in like 12 years.
I think the reason that is though is that he has, and I think that maybe some of his troubles have helped with this, but he has stayed more himself throughout the course of his career than most other comedians. And I think that that's kind of the thing that happens is that, as most comedians get more popular, they get more commercialized and they stray away from their own true voice. And they just put out what they think people want to hear rather than just be true to their voice. And being true to your voice is how you're going to be the best performer. Because,
well, I hate to
that's
give you
what
a
he
compliment. I hate to give you a compliment, but I think that's a very astute observation, which is unfortunate. I'm sorry about that. It won't happen again.
Well, he got a compliment. He got a compliment yesterday at 9:22, also by the guest.
What are you
Wow.
fucking taking notes on when I get compliments?
I did. I wrote that down.
So
Yeah, I did.
basically, I'm backsliding on the Willie compliment thing. I gotta back off of that. I gotta find a way to.
Yeah, you got to start treating me like garbage so I know I'm
Now,
loved.
I just want to point out that I know people. The general impression is that GD has one job here, and then that is to insulate me from being called a racist. So he makes believe he's my black friend. So if somebody calls me a racist, but also
Right. I check off a lot of boxes for him.
One more thing I just realized is that when people realize how culturally unhip I am, you're there to make it seem like I'm really in tune because you haven't seen Louis C.K. in 12 years or whatever. So you don't know who Mr. Beast is. So you actually make me look somewhat relevant besides somewhat not racist. So thank you for that.
Jesus.
You're welcome.
Now,
you're welcome.
Ben, in Dayton, Ohio, do you see many black people?
Yeah.
Wow.
No. He means free. He means free range blacks, not ones picking up trash on the side because they have like court duty. He means free range blacks. That's
actually so. There was a Cat Williams video that came out recently, and he talked about growing up in Dayton, and he said that it's always been 50-50. Like it's been very down the middle.
Half free, half slave.
Where did Chappelle opened a comedy club? Where's that at?
Just outside of Dayton and Yellow Springs.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it was in that area. Yeah.
So he also bought Wiley's Comedy Club as well. He owns that now.
So Dayton was 50-50, half free, half slave. What's the 50-50?
No, half comics and half not comics.
Yeah. Well, boy, oh boy! This morning again, I got up a little bit early today. I don't know why. Because my favorite thing now is to sleep, and getting up early is not really in my game plan. But somehow I woke up early and was watching a YouTube video. Got interrupted by another one of these. You can make passive income type of dude selling stuff, and it occurred to me how the goal in America is for nobody to actually be doing the work. Everybody wants to make money in some way, and obviously stand-up comedian seems like an easy job for a lot of. I could get rich if you've never done it, if you've never exposed to it. I can get rich, and all I have to do is work 30 minutes a day or 30 minutes. It's just
that's the
goal. The dumbest thought you could have.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of money to be made at performing at open mic. There's a lot of money to be. Usually, it's selling drugs. It's usually selling drugs after the show.
Yeah, hey, if you got a pocket full of drugs, you can make a lot of money at an open mic.
He's self-eliminating now. I don't even have to throw him off the show. He throws himself off the show. I don't like what I'm saying. I'm out of here.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Ben, you talk about considering yourself an open micer still at this point. How does that change? Is it the payday that will change? I mean, what is the metric that will change your mindset about where you're at in comedy?
I think I don't even know if it's like an amount of money that I would make in like a month, but I don't know. I think if I'm getting booked more regularly, and that's hard to measure, but right now it's just I might go a month without getting on a booked paid gig, and then another month I'll get 6 shows that month. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Really, my goal is to end up being able to stop doing what I do for my day job and be able to do that full time. If that just means featuring for a headliner for 3 shows a weekend and making $150-$200 a show, like that would be enough for me. Like
All right, here I am being a broken record again, but are you familiar with Barry Katz Blueprint for Comedy Success, or Blueprint for Success in Comedy?
I'm not.
It's a free thing you can sign up for. You can go to minddogtv.com. There's a link on the homepage. Barry Katz is a very well-connected, very successful manager, producer. Well, he does a lot of things, consultant to the stars. He's worked with a lot of people. He has this Blueprint for Comedy Success, or whatever, Blueprint for Success in Comedy, however you want to say it. I don't know. But it's great for insights. It's great for networking with other comedians and opening opportunities and stuff like that. The basic service is free. Willie's part of it. I go on it every once in a while, and I think it's really something worth checking out, especially if that is your goal. It can open up ideas or opportunities that you might not have seen presented before. So I would suggest.
I think I'm like right there. Like I have the material, like I have the performance part down. Like I know what I can say on stage for 30 minutes in a feature set or a bar headlining set. Now it's just a matter of getting booked as like a host at the comedy clubs a few more times, and then potentially that's the cusp. That's when I would be able to catapult to what I would consider not just an open mic comic.
What was that, Willie?
Like I said, Blueprint for Success could definitely help you with that, and I'm not even kidding. Especially if you feel like if you're confident in your material and you feel like you're ready to make that next step up, Blueprint for Success is one of the best things you could do for yourself, because there's so much that you can glean. And I mean, just off of the free stuff, I don't pay the membership stuff, because you can pay for, like higher tiers, more involvement, that sort of thing. But just the free stuff there's so much knowledge about the industry that you can gain, and the networking abilities and all that. It's really, really good. Plus, they do a monthly contest that you can submit for, and it doesn't have it can be stand-up, it can be a script idea, all sorts of different things. And the winner of that monthly contest gets a free month of the higher tier stuff, and so I mean, there's even it's a very good program.
Thanks for clearing that up, because I didn't even realize what the perk that free stuff was included in the winner of the month stuff. I thought that was just like you get highlighted.
Yeah, you'll get a free month of that higher tier stuff, and you'll get a 30-minute one-on-one consultation with Barry, which is invaluable in my fucking opinion. And because I mean, this guy knows the fucking business.
What are some? So I see
sideways.
I see a lot of names on here: Brian Regan, Eric Schwartz. Are these? He's worked with a lot of these top comics, right?
He's managed most of them. Bill Burr.
Yeah, he managed Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr.
Yeah, all those people. Yeah, the Chappelle stories are incredible, because
you know who I don't see on here?
Oh,
Tom Segura.
Tom Segura.
Have you been in his ear, Matt?
I like Barry Katz, and now I like him more. So, listen, I got a lot of hate coming my way for the things I said about Tom Segura. I don't hate him.
You're not wrong about him.
I don't know him personally, but this fact that he's doing this run for charity, if he does that and it's actually for a charitable cause, I will celebrate him for that, because I think that's a good thing.
The charitable cause is to make him not look like an asshole.
Cause, it doesn't really need the money.
Right. The thing I said, and I made sure I preface this way, it's just because he said and did some asshole things doesn't mean that brands him as an asshole for life. Everybody makes mistakes, and you can correct yourself. But I think he needs to correct that thing about wanting to kill all the homeless people. I think that's something I think he should reflect on.
I think that started out as a joke in his head. Like he was like, this is going to be a bit I'm going to do. I'm just going to talk shit about the poors. And then it escalated, and it seems like he genuinely believes this.
That's a good point.
Right.
That's a good point.
I think that he doubled down when he saw resistance. Yeah.
Kind of like Chappelle.
And I still maintain that he was it started off with him thinking about the Standard and Poor's and not the poor people.
But let's
But
be honest, you don't even really know, still don't know who Tom Segura is, even at
no,
this
I
point.
have no idea. I've seen his picture a few times on your screen.
Yeah.
I did just see a picture of Bert. What's this?
Kreischer.
Chrysler. I
Christ.
saw a picture of him the other day because a comedian I was talking to mentioned him, and so I had to look up the picture. So I could.
I just got curious
Yeah.
because the cultural awareness seems to be pretty lower than mine. Have you heard of let's just pick out. Have you heard of Joe Rogan?
I have heard of him. I've heard a lot of comedians talk about him. I didn't know he was a comedian. I thought he was an MMA announcer.
Have you heard of
Yes.
Taylor Tomlinson?
I know who she is now because she just started hosting. She took up the mantle of At Midnight from the guy that used to have it.
The English guy. Yeah.
Corden.
No, it wasn't the English guy. Was it? I thought it was some guy named Hardwick or something.
No, James Corden.
Do At Midnight.
Had it?
No, but I'm talking about the At Midnight show. The time slot.
He's talking
the
about
time
Ted
slot.
Hardwick. He had a show too.
Oh.
Right, and that used to be on Comedy Central, but that was like 9 years ago. Maybe I take that back. It wasn't 9 years ago. It's probably 4 years ago. I don't know. It was a while ago.
Well, I'm interested in this Taylor Tomlinson stuff, and you guys can feel free to comment on this. But listen, I haven't seen enough, and I'm not bashing her. I thought she was good. I've seen her, and I actually consider. I've seen like reels of her and watched her comedy and thought she's pretty good. But what do you think? What do you think got her the show after Colbert on CBS? What was it that they said this is the person who deserves to get that show with so many people out there?
My guess, I don't know what her following is like on the social medias. So that could be that some people went like, okay, she doesn't have any baggage. I don't know. I don't know enough about Taylor Tomlinson. This is just a theory that she didn't have enough baggage. So she's young. So if she's funny enough, they can keep her for a while, and she can age out of it. You know,
that's true because she's 29 or something. So she
just turned 30.
Oh yeah.
So she's a woman. Not if she's a woman, but as a woman, she can age out at like 35 or 40. Whenever Hollywood thinks that women are old, So she can dig it. She can do the show for a while because she's young. If she doesn't have any baggage in her past, because my understanding is that she used to be a clean comic, like a Christian comic.
Clean.
Right.
Like she used to be a Christian comic, so most of her background stuff is like.
Yeah.
Okay, so she used to be a Christian comic, so she has like a clean background. They're not going to find anything in her background. They go like, "Oh, look what she said about so and so." So so they have to worry about that. And then if she has enough social following, I have no idea if she does or not. That would be another box that she could check off. They can say, "Oh, look, she's a woman. She's funny, whatever they think funny is. She doesn't have the baggage, and look, she's young, and look at that, she's very, very popular on the social medias."
She got 1.5 million on Instagram, and
okay,
but
and at that spot, that late spot, they don't the metrics of how big your share of the TV audience is. You don't have to be. It's not the same as for the 11:30 show.
All right.
The 12:30 slots, you don't have to have it high.
Do you work clean? You don't exclusively. I mean, what we call clean, like no cursing, no. Because I would assume there was probably some drug stories in your, and I'm not sure if that's considered clean.
I've done clean. Actually, just this past on New Year's Eve, I did a show at a church in East Dayton. So I've worked clean. I can work clean. I'm capable of it. There's different metrics of clean. There's clean, there's squeaky clean, and then there's family friendly. I don't think I could reach family friendly, but I can. Right. I don't need the cuss words, and I could, I'd say only maybe 5 to 7 minutes of my entire act is like topically inappropriate, like about sex or.
You don't think you don't think that you can make like a heroin withdrawal story family friendly?
No, because I'm mostly talking about.
I think you can.
Yeah, I'm talking about addiction and like using heroin and going to prison and like the robberies. It's just I wouldn't put a 10-year-old through that.
Yeah, but the show Scared Straight was geared toward 10-year-olds, so you could do your comedy in that
I mean,
same
yeah,
vein as
well,
Scared Straight.
But labeling it family friendly would counteract it. Like if I said, "Hey, come to this family friendly show," and then I'm on stage, there's people that brought their 6, 7-year-old kids to this show, thinking it's going to be like The Wiggles.
I mean,
funny.
6 or 7. I don't think.
Yeah,
I've
but
seen
6
that.
or 7-year-olds
maybe
aren't family. They're not family
Family
yet.
friendly
They're
means
still
anybody.
No. See,
Yeah, they're not even really
you have kids? Do you have kids?
No.
See, that's why you're saying that.
Yeah.
If
6
you
or
had
7-year-olds,
kids, you'd
they're not
understand.
people. They're still crotch goblins.
Yeah, 6 or 7-year-olds are not. Thank you, Willie. That's exactly right. They are not people. They're not family yet. They haven't been fully indentured into the family style. They're still being broken in. They're not family until you can take them out in public and they don't scream and shout, which means they could be like 30 years old and not be family because they don't know how to behave in public.
Agent and we'll see how that works for the comic.
Believe me, I've had this discussion with many booking agents, which is why I'm not friends with many booking agents. That's not. But thank you for rubbing salt in that wound.
Yeah.
I like to do family friendly shows, and when I do family friendly shows, if you bring your children, I'm still gonna say what I say, and it's up to you if you want to explain that shit after the show. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna learn the fucking thing or two.
I do family friendly shows, but it's mostly Manson family and Corleone family. So
yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Ben, I'm going to make a prediction here, and because at some point as your career grows, while you're keeping your day job, but before you get to the point where you can actually leave your day job, somebody you counsel is going to say, "I know you," and they will be from the audience.
That's already happened.
Oh, it's already happened.
Yeah.
Hey, my prediction.
There was a lot
already.
So
I'm like fucking question.
The church that I worked at for New Year's ended up being a great deal of the clients that live in the sober living that I worked for. So I can't literally the first client that I had for an assessment that Tuesday morning, he was like, "I saw you. You were at that show." And I was like, "Oh God."
Does that complicate things for you to make it a little uncomfortable?
No, it it does make me a little bit uncomfortable, but as far as like the professional standard and staying ethical, I don't think it interferes with that at all.
Well, I want to. We've got to run a commercial. Stick with us. Maybe you can want to, if you want, you can chime in on where you think Mr. Geronimo is from. But we have to run a commercial right now. This one is for a company called Tracy's Dog. Tracy's Dog.
Tracy's Dog.
Tracy's Dog. And Mr. Geronimo is here to present us with Tracy's Dog.
Hey there, I'm Mr. Geronimo, product manager for Tracy's Dog. What is Tracy's Dog? Well, for $50, we send you a high-quality sex toy right to your door. Yeah,
what if I want
$50. Are our toys any good? No. They're f***ing amazing. Yeehaw! Each toy is made with body-safe silicone. We are constantly evolving and innovating our product line. They are built for one thing, to shake your world with orgasms you ain't never seen before. Do you like spending $100 for your sex toy? 80 of it goes to retail. What about bumping into your family while at the sex toy shop? Good taste. Get the pleasure you deserve without broadcasting your secrets. And think of all the money we're going to be saving you.
Now, he had that gun at the ready, so that gun was tucked in the back of his pants the whole time. That would be pretty uncomfortable.
Nice.
I think somebody handed it to him.
He may be used to it. My only problem.
You're gonna come back to the good tasting, aren't you? You're gonna come back to the good tasting. Good taste.
No. My thing is one of my things about this commercial. I have many good issues with this, but if the company is called Tracy's Dog, D-O-G, I would think that they would hire someone who can say Tracy's Dog and not Tracy Doll. There's no G. Because someone listening on the radio, let's say 365, who is trying to get that information about Tracy Doll, they're going to write it down, Tracy Doll, and they're never going to find Tracy's Dog because he doesn't say Tracy's Dog. He says Tracy Doll. So the only people that people going to type in Tracy D-A-W or Tracy D-A-U. DA.
I will say I'm very curious how they came up with that name for that business, because it just doesn't go along together. No, yeah, and if there is a connection, I'm very concerned about what that connection might be.
Should somebody be checking on Tracy's dog?
The company could have started in the garage.
Exactly.
The company could have started in the garage. They didn't have a name. The dog was there. Like there's a club I went to perform there called Lefties, and it's named after the dog who's missing one left leg, and the dog's name is Lefty, and that's the name of the club. You know, maybe the dog is just important to Tracy. It's so important that Tracy's dog doesn't even have a name. It's just her dog.
You just don't see a whole lot of sentimental value with sex toy shops.
Keep in mind that logo. It looks like a dog, a penis head dog. I mean, the head of it looks like a dog with a penis's head on it. It's a very weird logo.
Maybe she pets this, her favorite toy. She pets it like this.
It's disturbing, no matter what. I agree. When they first signed up, I was like, Tracy's dog. I thought this was going to be dog food stuff.
I was totally expecting some sort of dog affiliated fucking thing, but nope, not at all.
You know how when a dog that has a tail is happy to see you, and the tail does this. Maybe her favorite toy when she holds it up. Just yes.
Oh my god!
I don't know. I'm just.
I mean, there are some of those toys that move around like that. I saw them. They just
and by the way,
ladies, if you're using something that does this inside of you, no man is ever going to please you ever again. Okay, I just want you to know
that's not true.
That
that's
if
not
you're
true.
using
He's
a
just
fucking jackhammer that does this inside you, my hips won't do that. Okay, they just won't. All right.
We're gonna have to. Go ahead.
I just want to say that if you're a woman, no man is going to please you long term anyway. You're going to hate his guts after a certain period of time. You're going to want to kill him. You're going to want to take out an insurance policy and knock him off and just move on to another guy eventually.
And if you're really angry, you're not even going to wait for the insurance policy. You're just going to wait for an alibi. And once you got the alibi, you don't even care about the policy.
Right. So, Vander, do you know anybody that you met maybe in prison that actually does that for women, like will off their husband for a few bucks, a commission?
If I did, they didn't talk too much about it, which is probably smart.
Yeah.
Well, that's the first rule. First rule of spouse removal club is don't talk about spouse removal club.
Right. You know, Willie was in did some time in prison as well. That's one of the things I was alluding to that you guys have in common. But he went in for armed robbery. What exactly did you go in for? I thought it was possession.
You're asking me?
Yes,
Willie did armed robbery. I also did armed robbery.
Oh, you did. See, you guys are like brothers, practically.
Okay, all right. Hang on. No, we got to go here. All right. Now, I robbed.
Who committed the dumbest crime?
Place. I didn't rob a casino or a gas station or a bank or anything. No. I robbed a flower shop. Okay. So what did you rob, sir?
I robbed a Circle K and the
Circle
McDonald's.
K.
Oh, okay.
And they sell flowers in the refrigerator section.
That makes more sense than a flower shop, though.
It was a standalone Circle K. It didn't have a gas station. It was just like a little carry-out Circle K.
Yeah, because there are a lot of cash going all day in one of those things, right? Now we don't have them here,
right?
But I know what they are.
Yeah, no, that's way smarter. Now, as dumb as mine sounds, that wasn't even the dumbest crime that occurred in Sioux Falls that week. And I know that because you know how when you go for your initial appearance, if you're still in jail, you haven't been bailed out, you got to go behind the glass and you're in with all the other inmates that are cuffed up and stuff. And you're not supposed to talk to each other. But we did, you know, we don't obey the law. So we were talking to each other. And this guy I knew from the streets, he's like, hey, man, what'd you do? And of course, I was super embarrassed that I got arrested for robbing a flower shop. So I don't want to fucking tell him what I did, you know? So I'm like, I don't want to say. And he's like, oh, come on, man. We're all in here for something. I was like, no, man, it's really dumb. And I don't want to tell you. He goes, I guarantee you it's not worse than mine. And I'm like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Like I find that hard to believe. And he goes, really? I robbed the Daylight Donuts with 3 cops already inside.
Wow.
And I was like, you're right. You're right. That's way dumber than what I did. I robbed a flower shop. You win. You win.
You got to be pretty desperate to see the cops in there and still.
Well, I don't think so. I'm sure he was high to begin with because I know the guy. And like I said, I knew the guy.
The cops could have been off duty. Were they uniformed?
Well, no.
Were they in uniform or off duty?
That particular donut shop, if you come at it from the opposite way of the parking lot, you'll go into the door of the business without seeing the parking lot. And so like he didn't check the parking lot to see, how many cars were there or whatever. If he did, he'd have seen that there were fucking 2 cop cars. One had 1 cop and the other had 2 cops. But yeah, there were 2 cop cars already in the fucking parking lot. And he didn't check the parking lot before he went in, walks in, goes rob the fucking place. There's already 3 fucking cops.
You don't even have to check. It's a donut shop. There's obviously going to be police there.
Yeah, who robbed? Yeah, that's the last place to fucking rob. If there's not a
top 2 places
now,
you don't rob: the actual police station and the donut shop.
So Vander, how long have you been out?
Yeah, no shit.
I've been
how long were you in?
I did 4 years. The last 6 months of it was on house arrest at home, but I did a 4-year sentence. I've been out since 2018, so coming up on 6 years, about 5.5 years so far.
Yeah. What did you do anything special for when? Did you do anything special for when you hit that mark when you were out longer than you were in?
I didn't, other than like acknowledge it. I think it was probably a few weeks after it before I thought about it and realized that I had been out longer than I was in. Kind of just, I don't know.
Yeah,
didn't really matter that much to me, I guess.
Well, we're glad you're out.
Have you been clean longer than you were using?
Boy, that's
oh yeah, by a lot.
I don't think anybody my age can even calculate that because most of the people I know that were users for 40 years or 45 years or 50 years. I mean, so nobody lives long enough to be clean.
Be 90, what?
I started using alcohol at 9 years old. I started using marijuana at 10, with some breaks off in between. But now I'm 65. I'm pretty steady, almost all my life on that kind of stuff. So
I don't know. I don't know if it was considered being a user.
I don't use alcohol.
When I was 6, I used to drink country club malt liquor, but I wasn't allowed to drink a whole one. I had to split it with my brother because I was only 6.
Wow.
And that was the rule in the house.
So we have a couple of links here. We have
Vander fucking concession.
Yeah. Are you mocking my mother? Are you like mocking my mother's rules?
A little bit.
How dare you?
A little bit.
How dare you judge my mother's
no, I think
for raising children?
I just say for a born again Christian, that's a pretty liberal.
Listen, my dad was getting me drunk during the 1986 Rose Bowl when I was 4, almost 5. So I mean, believe me, I get it. It's not
Right. Were you asking for the alcohol, or was he just giving it to you to put you to sleep? Because that's different.
Because I relate.
Because my nephew, my sister used to put my nephew to sleep with putting cream de cacao in his bottle.
All right,
and it got to be. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
We have to do the plugs because we are short on time here. Time is of the essence. We have Mike's Facebook page. He's like Willie. He hasn't figured out how to kind of put the Vander Y, but on all the other Instagrams, it's at Vander YT. Now YT
DYT. Vander DYT.
Vander DY. I'm sorry. I'll fix that.
That's right.
Yeah, because you got to fix that on Facebook too. Willie has the same problem right now. I'm sure you can change it to facebook.com/Vander, and like Willie could do it at one we'll see. There's a way to do that. I'll look into that information.
I'm going to figure that out today.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
So so Vander DYT. The YT stands for YouTube.
DYT is just a short way to say Dayton.
Oh, Dayton. Okay. Well, anyway, you got any shows coming up you want to let people know about, or any events that you want to let people know about?
Absolutely. This Saturday, January 20th, we'll be at the historic Sydney Theater in Sydney, Ohio. It's going to be a show for a foundation that Ickey Woods, the ex-NFL running back for the Cincinnati Bengals, he is raising money for this foundation, and it's for a great cause, and there's amazing comedians on it. A few of my favorite Dayton locals, and the guy headlining his name's Jay Snyder. He's an absolute maniac on stage, and I love him. So that's this Saturday, January 20th. And then starting Wednesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, Bricky's Comedy Club in Miamisburg, Ohio. It's like my hometown club, I guess you'd call it. We're breaking the world record for longest comedy festival. We're doing 81 consecutive hours of stand-up comedy. Comics from all over Ohio and other states will be coming in to do time. Everybody's doing 15 minutes or more at all of the shows. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. We did verify. I know,
That's
Matt, you were asking.
Yeah, because
80 hours
Carlos
is the
was
record.
on.
We're doing 81. We're just going to break it by an hour.
All right, cool. Yeah, because Carlos and Brett Brock were on the show talking about a Nashville Comedy Festival that went 80 hours. I think they just went over 80 hours because that was the record then. They wanted to go like 80 hours in 1 minute or something. So good, 81 hours, man. That should be an interesting thing. It's all at one venue?
Yep, the same club, all consecutive.
Yeah, I think theirs
Does
was
it
at
have to
multiple
be?
venues too. So
Yeah. Well, I think it does. I think that part of the criteria is that there has to be either the
I would think that
comedian
it
or
has
the
to be the
MC
same
on
spot.
stage for the
all
entire time. with
the
no
entire time. Yeah, it's continuous. Absolutely. Yeah, man. Well, good
And
luck
no
with that.
bathroom breaks. No one, and everybody, no bathroom breaks.
Shut the
Yeah.
this guy.
Listen. Do me a favor. Please remind me before that. Now you have the show tomorrow night, the 20th, tomorrow night. But when the marathon or whatever you call it, the longest marathon, whatever
Saturday.
you're calling it, when that's going to happen, drop me a line and I will plug it that whole week if you
Nice.
remember.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's cool.
And Vander, if you want, after the 81st hour, I'll come in and do like 3 hours after that just to make sure you get the record. You know,
Also,
after the 81st hour.
I caught the drift of what he was saying for the most
Fucking
part.
hell.
Anyway,
That'll be up to
What
the club
happened?
owner, though. Kevin.
Yeah, some audio problems.
broke up like Alex Jones with or Robert F. Kennedy Jr. or something. It's like a hybrid. Alex Jones, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It's like frog penis, penis. Anyway,
They're killing the children.
Ed, it's been great to see you again. Thanks for coming and do come back, man. Make yourself a regular here. Anyway,
Absolutely.
have a great day. Bye for now.
See you guys.
We got to get to our next guest, who is struggling to get here on time. Oddly enough, like on time ever was really important here. Let me.
She was on time though, by the way.
I know she was. I know she was, and she was very conscientious. This is why she's going to be a star, because most comedians don't give a fuck about getting there on time. And they're notoriously
comic time is like 15, 20 minutes
notoriously fucked up as far as conscientiousness. So
Yeah.
this is playing in her favor with a unique blend of observational humor and wordplay, two my favorite types of comedy, and a healthy dose of self-deprecating charm. Danielle Warnell talks through the perils of modern marriage with a historical lens, family dynamics. This is like the coolest comedic bio ever. Role reversals and the plight of humanity. She's here now, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome in Danielle Warnell. She's drinking while she's on.
Not bourbon yet, though.
Not bourbon yet. It's on the list though.
It is. Thank you for being here. Thank you for. You're an early riser, because I got your email. I don't know, 7 o'clock this morning. I was like, well, what kind of comedian is up at 7 o'clock in the morning?
I haven't been to sleep yet.
Wow. What is the?
She looks like she came from a shoot of Designing Women. Actually, it's like,
Yeah, pretty stylish. And this is not. You know, when I go to comedy clubs, quite often it looks like people have never ever bought a new pair of jeans, or like they still wearing the jeans they had in high school, or that kind of stuff. You're pretty stylish on stage. That's not that common, right?
Yeah, that's the style.
Well, yeah, you buy them like that. There's one store they let us shop at, and it's Goodwill, and so that is the jeans you wore in high school. That's what they have on stage.
Now, what part of Kentucky are you? You're in Kentucky based, right?
I'm Kentucky based. So I actually live in a tiny town called Cynthiana. It's middle of nowhere. There's literally like Amish horse and buggies that pass by my house every single day. They're not big comedy goers. I've never seen the Amish show up at any of the spots, but I'm like an hour south of Cincy, 45 minutes from Lexington, and an hour and 20 from Louisville. So I hit all three markets almost every week.
Very cool.
Pretty regularly. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of a viral piece here. If you could, I don't know, keep up with the buggy and try to do comedy and get somebody to film it while you're trying to like shout comedy at the Amish people. I think
that have to write some specific Amish material.
Looking over, I'm impressed with what I see now on your Instagram stuff. That's I should put that in the link, and I'll work on that while we talk. But I'm impressed with what you got going on. How long have you been doing it? Comedy.
So I used to do it a long time ago, but it was never super serious. I was just, all my friends were comedians. So that's kind of how I got into it, kind of fell into it. And it was when I lived in New York, and it was really convenient and easy to do then. And I started back up about 8 months ago and going pretty hard.
Holy smokes. And that's even more impressive, knowing that it's only that short of a time, because I see you getting around. You've been to Memphis. I see things in Gotham Comedy Club. That's in New York, I'm assuming, the Gotham Comedy Club in New York.
I was at Broadway Comedy Club in New York.
Yeah, but she had the networking side already down.
That helped for sure. But yeah, I did Broadway Comedy Club. Victoria Artisan, she produced that show, and there was an awesome lineup. Like Sherrod Small was on it with me, and Corey B, and there was a bunch of people on that one. That was a really good show. And then we did Golden Cicada, which is in Jersey City. Rowdy bar crowd, no stage. Ended up using the steps as a stage because you got to be above everybody when you're talking to them. And then I did a spot at Liberty NYC in Midtown, and then we just like marathoned a ton of open mics. It was fantastic. I did 18 spots in 7 days between Cincinnati, Philly, and New York. So it was great.
Very cool. And I was just told our previous guest, Vander, was on. 7 days. I was talking to him about the importance of getting out of your hometown, because it's really difficult to, build a career just staying in your hometown. Now, you don't have any ties that are, it seems like you don't have anything tying you down, that you're free to go on the road if you want. Is that?
Yeah, I did. So I did like a 3.5 week kind of trip last year in October. And I started in Cincinnati, in Cincinnati, Nashville, Memphis, down to Texas, and hit Denton, DFW, Killeen, Waco, which was really fun. And then Austin, Georgetown, and then kind of worked my way back. So
that's the way to do it, man. Congratulate. First of all, the effort and work ethic and all this stuff. Obviously, somebody who says who's concerned about 2 minutes of time you have the right work ethic and a good plan on how to create some success for yourself. So that's the way to do it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Honestly, comedians are my favorite people. Are any of you guys comedians?
Oh, you'll get over that.
No, none of you are comedians.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's shaking his head no, but he calls himself a certified forensic humorist. But the problem is he's been beaten down by Willie, who is a comedian, who tells him he doesn't know anything about comedy so often that shaking his head no is a conditioned response.
God,
it's kind of like a concentration camp
one
thing.
Damn day, I swear to God.
Why are you listening to Willie at all? Just start playing. Every time he starts talking, just start playing your guitar.
Thank you. Nobody else does. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Now,
No one should
so
ever listen to me. Just ask my wife.
writing style. Did you write
It's
your
just
own
that
book?
it hurts so much. It's just that it hurts. It's not that it said that. Not that Willie said it. It's just that the way he said it. It just sounds just like my mom, and I just, you know.
Willie just had a woman walk out of a closet.
I do
carrying-
sound like a lot of people's mom. That's true.
I think there's been like 2 women walk behind him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not the closet.
He's got a harem.
We're in the basement. That was upstairs. She brought me
He's like-
coffee.
He's like the Dick Morris of Coffee with the Dog.
Someone just walked by.
Did you write your own this bio?
Are you okay back there?
What the comment I want to make is the writing is exquisite. I mean, I read a lot of comic bios, and this is good. It's indicative of good writing, and if it's indicative of the kind of stuff that you write for on stage, I think where does that come from? I mean, were you like a creative writing major or something? Where
I took a creative writing class in college. I did write my own bio. I actually rewrote it again last night because I thought that was crap.
I thought it was really good.
There's, they changed. You rewrite those just like you rewrite jokes, but I appreciate it. It's very complimentary. So I took like one creative writing class in college, but I've always written. Like that's always been a thing. And comedy writing is kind of it's the best of all of it to me. So yeah, I went to undergrad in Florida, and I was an art major, and then I went to grad school in New York, and I lived overseas for a little while, and everything was kind of always around art, and there was a lot of concept writing and the way you look at things, and that definitely bled into it for sure.
Where overseas? Because that's a big place.
It is a big place, and there's several of them. So I lived in Antwerp, Belgium. So it's about 30 minutes north of Brussels, 20 minutes from Amsterdam, kind of this.
That's more than overseas. That's over oceans.
It is. And then, so I lived there for a stint, and then I lived in South London and Kingston.
For those of you wondering, there's 7 seas.
Wow.
Really?
So
Now
that opens up a wide variety of experience to draw from. So, that's a very cool thing. But coming back to the idea of traveling, because I think you reach a point, if you wait too long in life, you get so many responsibilities that you don't have the freedom. And this is part of the trap that a lot of comedians fall into, is like, I'd love to go on the road, but I have to keep my day job, and I have to, support myself and my family and all that stuff. And it becomes a trap. So I'm imagining, because you said you're married, right? Are you married now?
for now.
For now. Family husband supportive?
We're wrapping that up. We're wrapping that chapter up.
Oh.
No, it's not a sad thing. It's a good thing. All is
So
good.
whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? And when you do
I'm sorry.
whose fault is it for real? And whose fault is it for real? And when you tell this story on stage, whose fault will it be?
Well, it's definitely my mother-in-law's fault, as it is all mother-in-law's fault. No, it's honestly, it's really no one's fault. It's just one of those things that happens. It's not a failure. It's just a chapter that's ended, and there's no animosity. There's no ill will. We're actually working through everything really collaboratively and positively, and making sure both parties have what they need and are taken care of. And yeah, it's like the best divorce you could possibly get.
Oh, good for you. I'm glad.
So there are no children to damage. There are no children to damage.
Oh no, dogs, and we're gonna.
Oh my God! So how are you going to divide up the dogs?
So
give one to Tracy.
We're gonna do because he is home a lot and he doesn't go a whole lot of places. He works for a university, so he's going to have him the majority of the time, but I'll get him at least 1/3 of every month. So a week and both weekends on each side of it. And one of us will drop him off and the other one will pick him up. And for consistency, it'll make it the same week every month, at least, for the time being, and reassess if we need to.
So when you have the dogs, are you going to unhousebreak them so that when he gets them back, He has to clean up
That's really that's a lowly thing to
Who
even
hurt
think.
you? What
Yeah,
woman
exactly.
broke your heart? That's what I want to know.
That's
Like,
so.
Oh, let's start the list in fifth grade.
A lot of people, mainly, probably mainly his mother.
Now, when you said
I will say
dog,
kudos to you for finding a way to
what?
Am I muted?
Yeah, no, you're not muted. You're just on
How am I
serious delay.
lagging behind Superbad again?
You're like 15 minutes behind us right now. We're currently talking about NASCAR.
Fucking hell. Well, make another fucking left turn then. Okay. All right. But kudos to you for finding a way to end your relationship in a civil manner. Me and wife number 2 signed our divorce papers side by side at the clerk of court's office, which all the ladies in the office were flabbergasted by. They were like, we've never seen a couple sign their fucking divorce papers right next to each other. Like,
I did with my first wife. Right.
Same here. I did it with my first wife.
Did you?
Also.
That's great.
how many wives are there between you? What number are we on?
I'm on number 3.
I have a whole bit about this. You're on number 3?
18.
No, you haven't had 18.
Mine depends on how you.
I'm on my second man.
Mine depends on how you do the math.
Common law counts.
Right, there was one of those.
Not your common law.
And it's one of those, and I'm on my second legitimate real marriage with a piece of paper.
So 2.5.
I'm with my forever wife now.
Okay. A buddy of mine who's a bit of a songwriter.
If common law counts, then I probably have a cellmate that I should add as well.
All right, she's talking.
You guys are good. You guys are good. No, I do a bit actually, and what's kind of funny is, so one, my husband's never come to see any of the shows, and he's definitely makes an appearance in all of the writing and the stand-up and all of that stuff, but he's not come to the shows. But for like the first 3 years of our marriage, I always introduced him as my first husband, like immediately, like first day we're married. I'm like, this is my first husband, Tom, because I thought it was hilarious.
Nice.
But it'll always be true. He'll always be my first husband. So
right. Yeah, that's one thing they can never take away from you. I used to talk about girls as my future ex-wife. Girls I was dating. This is my future ex-wife. But before I got married, the first time, my wife at that time, my girlfriend at that time, was adamant about getting married. I was 24 years old and still pursuing stardom as a rock star in my head, and I was trying to explain to her that I'm not going to make a good husband. I mean, I understand you want something permanent, but understand I'm going to still be on the road. And I was for the first 3 years of our marriage, still on the road all the time. I'm not going to be what most husbands are, and it's going to be really difficult. It's hard to be married to a person in show business, plain and simple. So I think it's fortunate if you've already established yourself in show business, that somebody understands the lifestyle you're going to have and gets into that. But no matter how much you talk about it beforehand, they're never really prepared for the reality of, he's not here. He's in Virginia right now. And
it's funny too. Like a lot of my buddies, we've been talking about this recently, like just dating as a comedian, period. Like, it sounds great. Like it's interesting to people. It's something that's different. It's out of the norm, but it's then they see the reality of it and they're like, oh no, this is a train wreck. Like this is terrible. Like I literally am only going to see you if I go, where it's 4:00 in the morning and you're coming in and then I'm leaving before you wake up, and yeah, it's a train wreck. It's a mess. I don't know how.
It's funny. It's funny to me that you think the train wreck part is the scheduling, as opposed to the fact that most comedians are train wrecked emotionally, and that's the hard part of a relationship. It's not the scheduling; it's the baggage.
Right.
That most comedians are so damaged. That's why they became comedians.
Absolutely.
That I'm scarred.
I definitely agree with you. I do think that there is a certain mental illness that we all have, and it's not something you're going to find like in the, you know, DSM book, but it's the fact that like in the worst possible situations, like when horrible things are happening, we're turning it into a bit and we're writing a joke in our head. That's the mental illness part for sure.
Now I can ask you this now because
you don't have
you ever been? You do have to answer this. It's by law. Have you ever been in the middle of an argument with your husband and you're saying, "Whoa, oh, that was really funny. Hold on, right there." Now, do you pause the argument so you can write down what he just said because it's really funny? Do you let him finish and just stop listening? So you say, "Okay, I'm just gonna remember this. I just have to remember this," or do you like just concede the argument just so you can end it so that you can go write down what he just said to make sure that you keep good notes?
Well,
how do you handle the argument? You know, the funny part of an argument.
There's a couple things. One, it's healthy to take breaks during a really heated argument, you know, and give each other space to cool back down. So that's a good time to, you know, visit your notebook, like in one of your timeouts. There has been an instance, and it was probably not very fair on my part, but you know, you're working through stuff, especially through a divorce. So you know, and I've written a bunch of stuff down, and you don't write everything out like a novel. You just kind of shorthand some stuff. So, you know, the husband came across the joke book and he opened it and dug in a little bit. And he was not very pleased. And my reaction was
like what he saw.
No, he had some issues with it. My reaction in that moment was like, okay, I understand you're upset, but did you think it was funny? Like, that's what I need to
know. Now, have you ever had? I remember my wife and I had an argument once.
But you got to admit it was funny, right?
And
my
wife and I had an argument. Oh, my wife and I had an argument, and right after the argument, I said to her, "I said this is going to be a really funny bit." And she goes, and she says, "What? No, this is not funny." I said, "No, it's not funny to you right now, but this is really going to be funny later on." And she goes, "It's never going to be funny." And so the next week I did it at a show, and I just played that one segment, and I said, "See, they all thought it was funny." And she goes, "It's not funny." But everybody's laughing.
You turned it into a bit, and then you re-engaged the argument to show her that she was wrong.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he does. That's what he does.
That ended positively for you?
We're still married after 17 years.
Okay. Okay.
I'm a very charming, defective person. He
doesn't want to break another one in at this point.
No, that's true, and you know that we're both on our second marriage, so you know that we're not going to break in another spouse.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like that's our safe word. Our safe word is spouse number 3.
Yeah.
I thought life insurance was your safe word.
Nah, no policy.
But seriously, I think, and I equate green rooms to like 12-step meetings as far as dating or meeting somebody to date. Anybody you meet there is already a broken person, and you have to know that. It's kind of like meeting somebody at a 12-step program. You don't want to date another.
You gotta have a strict, and as a comedian too, you gotta have a strict don't date comedians. Like that's a terrible idea. Comedians should not date other comedians. Like that's like 2 alcoholics that are in recovery. You know what I mean? Like it's bad news bears. You just don't go there.
Now, and my wife, and I was not a comedian when we met. As a matter of fact, I didn't start doing comedy until she encouraged me to do it. But one of the prerequisites she wanted in her second husband was going to be someone who, number one was she wanted someone who would make her laugh. Okay, and number 3 was like someone who was like financially stable. And I think now that I'm in my 60s, I think that her third option should have been number 1. And I really think that funny should have been like 2 or 3 on the list. But that's just
you skipped over 2. What was 2? You went from 1 to 3.
Because when I say it, you're gonna like.
What? Somebody with a little dick?
My wife is blind.
Oh,
what? You don't think my wife is blind?
Someone with a little dick. Oh.
No, that's not it at all. But that's just a perk.
I have
No,
a bit about
no,
that actually. Like when I'm talking about my husband, you know, I say something, oh God, and bits are never as good when you're just telling somebody what you say as opposed to doing it in
Oh
a
no,
show.
that's what the funniest, especially when you explain it with
Yeah,
PowerPoint. Go ahead.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jokes are always better when you have to explain them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do this bit in talking about my husband. You know, he's a nice guy. That's what everybody tells me. You know, he's a really nice guy.
I
And
hate
he is.
being a nice guy.
And I recommend that for a first husband, someone well-mannered. Second husband, I'm going to go with someone who's well-endowed because of the frustrations from the first. And then 10-year plan, wrap it all off with somebody who's well-off. Like, that's my plan. You guys can adopt it. It's not copywritten. I'll happily share it. But well-mannered, well-endowed, well-off. Like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The three wells.
Exactly.
Most women, I think, want a guy who's handy enough who can fix stuff, but doesn't ever leave the garage. Like, go in the garage and just get me a nice big house and a pool and a refrigerator full of cheese, and stay in the garage. And that would make a lot of women happy.
So I actually am the one with the wood shop, and I'm the one that fixes stuff, and so I don't need that. Like,
wow.
Yeah, I like to do woodworking and work with my hands and build.
Yeah, my wife is the man around the house as far as doing that kind of stuff. It's like when people come to work on the house, like the guy workman will ask me, "Where's the water heater?" I'm like, "Wait, I gotta go ask my wife."
Bro, I gotta ask you a question. How many times have you got the condemning look from one of those workers for fucking saying that sentence? Hang on, I gotta go ask my wife. Like, because like the dudes around here, they're very judgmental about that shit.
No, they give me that condemning look when they're pulling in the driveway. It doesn't have to. It's like, look at this guy.
You don't really have the face of someone who would know where the water heater is.
Yeah, definitely.
Look about you.
I'm like, I don't know shit. I'm like, what? You want me to fix something? Don't ask me to do that.
I didn't even.
You have the face of someone who looks like you broke the water heater.
Yeah,
like, that's
I actually didn't even know we had a water heater. It's news to me. Thank you very much.
So Danielle, how many socket wrench sets did you buy because you learned that it was cheaper to buy the whole set than to replace the one or two little sockets that you lost?
I have a really good set, and I'm the only one that has a key to the wood shop, so everything pretty well goes back where it's supposed to.
You're not even allowed in there.
So you never lent a tool out?
No.
Is my delay better now? Did I fix it?
You fixed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
For now.
No, my dad, I was raised by a single dad. He's a contractor. So, tool safety,
sure,
take care of your stuff, like putting things back where they go.
So can you walk through like a Lowe's or Ace Hardware or a Home Depot and not spend money, or do you or are you like the Tim Allen Tool Time?
I thought you were going to go a whole different direction with that, GD, for sure.
Yeah.
But I thought you were going to ask her, do your nipples get hard when you go into Home Depot? Like,
I that was like the third thing on my brain, and I skipped to number 4 because I have a filter. I don't talk like that in front of ladies. I'm sorry, Danielle. Continue.
You're good. I say way worse things in my set. And
if you want to take me out behind the tool shed, you sure can.
So I can I go into a hardware store without spending money? I can. I probably wouldn't go into a hardware store if I didn't want to spend money. So the logic there doesn't. I'm going in there for a reason, but I don't just buy stuff to buy stuff. Like, I usually will sit and sketch out a design or play with different things I want to do. And I like a lot of them. There's a lot of mills that have different types of hardwoods and things. So those are kind of fun to peruse first, and then you just get what you need at Lowe's usually.
I have a flashlight addiction. I love to buy flashlights. Especially in the quirkier the flashlight, the more I'm like, flashlight. Really?
Flashlight.
Yeah, he totally
not
means
now.
flashlight.
When you move a little bit, when you jiggle, I don't know, maybe you got it tied around your penis, your frog penis.
Yeah, but it's flaccid, so it shouldn't be moving up and down.
But quickly,
when you started talking about flashlights, you got excited.
yeah, you got excited. I think you started to get a little erection.
Yeah,
The thing,
and don't
whatever.
be lying. None of us are flaccid right now.
But when speaking of flashlights, really quickly, this. All right, flashlight, it's all the same thing. Tracy's Dog. Tracy's Dog. Brought to you by Tracy's Dog. Now, I don't know if you caught the little graphics and demonstration stuff in there.
I definitely paid attention the whole time, and I wasn't texting.
Yeah. Well, it says centrifugal forced ejaculation.
This is forced ejaculation. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, that caught me too. What the fuck? Listen, usually if I have forced ejaculation, it has something to do with pressure on my prostate.
Or something that happened in prison.
No.
It's
or a really drunk night in bed.
That's a selling point, which is really I don't know, it scares me, and that's what that little red button is for. I would never push that little red button. Now I brought that up because you said flashlight, but that is basically a fleshlight, right? Is that what that's called, that turbo thing?
Yeah, that's that's a flashlight. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
now,
it's like a I'm so sorry.
Danielle,
Daniel's like, I have no idea. Why are you asking me?
Well, yeah, I think you do.
I don't personally use those. Willie can share about his collection of fleshlights. I don't personally have a need for one.
Sex toys at all?
Mine are mostly surrounded by
absolutely.
humans.
And when you're on the road, it's like you kind of I equate it to like a chef leaving home without his roll of knives. You know what I mean? You don't do that. So you go with a collection because you don't know what you're going to need on what day. You got to be ready for any environment. So yeah, absolutely, but not a fleshlight in particular.
Should I say goodbye to Govs right now? And you guys didn't even remind me of that. No?
Well, a fleshlight wouldn't do.
Well, you're in the middle of a commercial. Why should we remind? We're not going to interrupt a commercial for. Yeah.
All right.
I'll go ahead and say goodbye to Govs.
I'll accept that.
First of all, is my issue with the fixed now? Because I think I forget what it was. Yeah, I had the dread. I never had the dread.
Yes.
Hooked into my arm, and when I moved it, my arm, the dread was pulling on my earpiece.
Stop moving.
That's what it is. It's my dread pulling on the mic.
Anyway, yeah, it only happens
you tie your
every once in a while,
back?
intermittently, as they say. But I think here's what I think. I think you want to be like Willie so badly that you cause technical problems, whether it was subconsciously or not. You're just trying to be like Willie.
I think you're right. I think that is what Freud and Jung would say.
All right, back to Danielle now. I noticed. And a couple of clips that you watched, that I watched of you working on stage, that you have a little cocktail in your, well, not a cocktail. It looks, I think you said it was straight bourbon.
Usually.
Is that part of the Kentucky culture? Because bourbon is, synonymous with Kentucky. Is that?
It's definitely a Kentucky thing. It's also just a me thing. Like, after 6, I'm going to have a bourbon in my hand, and that's usually on stage after 6. So they go hand in hand. But there's some bits around it, and I use it as a way to add certain dramatic pauses before or after, you do a tag or a punchline, and it leads in the next thing.
Oh my God. So can I ask where you learned that from? Like where you picked that up from?
Well, we start drinking pretty young in Kentucky. No, I think some of that
No.
is,
I mean using it as part of your show in your pauses.
I knew what you meant, Willie. That was a joke.
You have to explain it to them. See, again, the
Okay,
best
I'm
part
sorry.
of the joke is explaining it.
I'm just gonna kill myself after this whole thing. No, I think it's just being around comedians. I've had a ton of
No, please don't.
friends that are comedians. Actually, when I think I was 16 when I first became friends with a group called the Indicators, and they were an improv troupe out of Louisville. And there was a lot of them. I think there was like up to 12 at one point, and they all actually moved to New York together, and pretty much all of them live together. And when you're just around, so we're talking about more than 20 years of my life just being around comedians pretty heavily, and you pick up on those little things, whether it's super studied or not. And then I love comedy. I watch comedy religiously. Like if I'm watching anything, it's probably somebody's upset.
I picked up that trick from Ron White.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Ron White, I think, and this was going to be my next question.
Ron White is a really good example.
Well, I think you're getting the delayed part.
He's delayed.
It's just, I don't think it's necessarily internet. It might be between the ears. It gets to this ear, and by the time it gets to this ear through the head, it's like 4 seconds later. But Ron White at times appears to be inebriated on stage, and that's the kind of. Is there a danger of that? Has that happened to you? Have you brought it on as a prop and then realized 5 minutes in?
So usually not. And I'll say that. Now my comedy buddies may disagree because they've all definitely made jokes about it. But ironically enough, so I did my first competition last weekend before last. It was literally less than 2 weeks ago. Never done a comedy competition before. Had specific reasons for choosing to do it, but it was like maybe 10 minutes before I'm getting ready to go on stage. I had gone to see all the other preliminary rounds just to watch, and I was timing the comedians and seeing, how close to their time they were hitting, and if they knew their rhythms, and I don't know, I was just doing that for myself. But so I'd had a couple doubles, and then I knew I had to have a double to go with me on stage for my bit, and it was like 10 minutes before, and I kind of sat back. I was like, I'm a little hammered right now. Like I was like, I'm not going to even remember what set I want to do tonight. And so I kind of just stopped, and I was like, I just won't drink for the next 10 minutes before I get on stage. And that was my prelim round. And, the 10 minutes, I was fine. I got on stage and I did everything I wanted to do. And I killed it enough to make it to the finals, and it was awesome. And I felt good about it. So, there's a point, usually it's after everything's over that you really tip the scales on that end. But,
my radio career ended because of an accidental drunk. This is the problem with alcohol is while you're doing it, you don't realize you're getting drunk. It sneaks up on you, and then it's too late. So I had somebody else. I went to a wedding, and somebody else was subbing for me at the radio station.
Yeah, no, that's for sure.
And I was drinking, and I felt fine. And then I got into the radio station, and he was panicking because he couldn't take a phone call and had a celebrity on the other end of the line, and couldn't put the phone call through. And then I kind of said, I pushed him out of the way. I'm here. And then as I sat down, I realized I was drunk. And I started
in that moment.
Yeah. And I started yelling, we can't take a friggin' phone call. And I was smashing the deck. Well, can't we take a friggin'? And all of a sudden, friggin' turned into fucking. And then I stopped, and I'm drunk. And I looked around, and basically, I just said fuck, didn't I? And everybody in the room was like, yeah, you basically said fuck on the air without the delay. And that was the end of my AM radio.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.
So, but it is a hazard when you start using it as a prop or just thinking that I'll never be sloshed on stage, and then before you know it, it's an accidental slosh, and then it can be really embarrassing, or in my case,
my understanding is that Dean Martin, when he did his routine on stage, that his drunken or his buzz thing was actually an act. That most of the time his glass was actually filled with tea and not hard liquor like it looked.
Right.
And so it was actually just a joke.
Right.
My understanding. Of course, I was not there, and I can only go by what he used to tell me. When we had these talks.
Right.
Actually, he was talking to me. It was just the two of us in the room. He was on TV, and I was in the bedroom. But it was just.
I mean,
it was
for as
just the two
often
of
as
us.
that dude took drinks from that glass, I would say it had to be not alcohol.
Wow. I think a lot of Southern rock bands used to fill up Jack Daniel's bottles with iced tea and be drinking on stage like they were chugging a bottle.
I can see that. There's definitely there's a bit that I do specifically about bourbon, and I play it up, and I purposefully will stutter specific words in that to play that up. But at this point, we're also talking about like the longest set that I'm really booking right now is like 20-25 minutes. So you're talking most of the time, you're not really drinking, like you're not slamming 3 drinks in 25 minutes. So if you go on stage pretty level-headed in that amount of time, you're fine. Now, when I start doing longer things, that's definitely going to be something I have to be conscientious of for sure and make specific choices around it. But you got to know your number too. Like we all have a number. We know what number we got to hit to continue to play pool or poker, right? We know what number we got to hit before we say yes to going home with somebody who probably wouldn't want to. You know what number you got to hit before you're like, you know what? Like I'm definitely throwing my keys in the fishbowl, right? Like
as you get older, that number goes down. As your age number goes up, that number that you gotta really be really careful because I can get drunk on one sip.
Well, that's mainly due to the health of your fucking liver.
I'm sure. I'm sure. No, but like if I can drink several bourbons and be fine. But if I have more than one glass of wine, like more than one glass of red wine, I'm sloshed because I don't drink red wine all the time. Like that's not a normal thing for me. Like I have like 3 go-tos. I have my bourbon, and it's usually like bourbon on the rocks with a lime. And specific ones. I'm a little bit of a bourbon drink like snob. And then Irish car bombs and tequila shots. So I know how many of each of those I can have before I make a decision that I would not.
You like Irish car bombs?
I fucking love Irish car bombs.
What is that? I don't know. What is that?
Irish car bomb? You fill a glass of glass about a third of the way, and then you take a shot glass and you put Jameson in it, and you float Bailey's on top, and then you drop it in the Guinness, and you chug it.
Wow, inventive and creative. One of the more creative things I think you've done that I haven't seen any other comedian do is this idea of the different kinds of sober. And that's a very good piece. But the question I have, are you, because that's a good piece, but you put it out on Instagram now. Do you feel like that burns that material, that you can't do that in the club because you put it out there?
People's attention spans and what they look at. I don't want to put my whole set out there because I'm still cultivating and writing, and the material's changing, and I'm writing a ton. So things are fitting together differently as things get more fleshed out. And but the little snippets, like I'll see somebody do a bit and that makes me want to go see their show. So when they do it in there, it's like you're in on it a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
So that's nice.
Right.
But also people look at how many hundreds of
this one
that are 90 seconds long or a minute long. And I don't think it dissuades anybody. I think the attention spans are so short. If you have a good bit and you put it out there, if anything, especially with all the stuff we've been talking about in the last few weeks with, the Cat Williams interview and everybody's kind of responses to that, like, if you put it out there and it's something that's really original or uniquely you're kind of putting your stamp on it, and you're putting a timestamp on it. So you get to own that